Hi.
Welcome, everyone.
How are you?
Good. How are you? How's everything?
You're supposed to be hosting.
I am.
One weekend off, and it all goes out the window. How are you? Where are you back home?
I am back home. I'm back home. For those who don't know, I was just in the Kursk Oblast. I went to Suja and some surrounding villages, was able to see the full extent of the ongoing special military operation, and of course the liberation of the Kursk Oblast from Ukro-Nazis and all of their proxies. There are some pictures from the trip. I'm joined there by two priests. There are priests. One's a monk, one's an active priest who have also joined in the fight to defend Russia and to defend their homeland. And it was really an amazing opportunity. I want to give a shout out to the phenomenal soldiers and military police of the North group who were unbelievably professional. They took me around. There was outgoing fire, there was incoming fire, there was a drone strike that happened right when we were in Suja, just about less than a kilometer away. And they kept me safe. They kept me always aware of the surroundings and the situation. And for that, I'm very honored. We're gonna have a lot of material coming out on that. So I hope that you can follow us at DD Geopolitics. Make sure that you're tuning into this exclusive footage that we're gonna have. We're gonna put it on all of our social media out there. Let us know what you think. It's really a phenomenal opportunity. I'm one of the only foreign journalists to be allowed into Suja after it has been retaken. Patrick Lancaster also went outside of Suja and with Ahmad, and I went with the North group. So it's phenomenal, really phenomenal to be able to get in there. And the operation continues. We're advancing on all fronts. What can I say? Victory is coming. Whether it's tomorrow or in a year or 2 years. At the end of the day, victory belongs to Russia. And I'm sorry for all of the NAFO folks out there, but you're going to take the big L. The question is, how big of an L do you want?
Patrick Lancaster, we have to get him on the show.
We do.
He's always so busy. He's like everywhere. He's more Carmen Sandiego than you, I think. Speaking of priests, though, we are reading From Yahweh to Zion. I'm going to mess up this name, Laurent Goyanon.
I like it. French name?
French name, Laurent. But we started chapter 1 last night. We're continuing chapter 2 later tonight. It's a fantastic, fantastic book. The author actually contacted me, and he may be coming tonight, but we're definitely going to set up something for everybody to talk to him. So that's happening right now. But other than that, I can't even pay attention to the news cycle. That's why I asked you to host the show. I mean, I know vaguely what's going on, but it's like total chaos. I mean, Nicki Minaj is in the White House today. So that's kind of like
more crazy than that.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about not the White House. It is involving the White House, but we're gonna go away from Washington, the circus in Washington, D.C.
Listen, there's a lot going on. Everybody right now, I'm sure, is feeling the pressure of all of the events happening simultaneously. We've got social media under oligarchic Zionist control. We have a possible war with Iran. We have the Gaza dystopia unfolding before our very eyes. We have multiple fronts opening up around the world. Venezuela now and the U.S. are headed back towards a collision course. It looks like Iraq and the U.S. We have the upcoming elections, which we'll talk about there. Overall, things are heating up. So it's important to keep your minds open, stay sharp, and to continue to take care of one another.
We do have a clip from Suja, and but before that, you mentioned the episode, the Epstein takeover, Ellison takeover of TikTok. It is the Epstein takeover, really.
It is the Epstein takeover.
People are moving in droves over to Upscrolled. I'm not saying that I'm endorsing the app, but we are on it. You can find us on it. I don't know enough about it to say we're endorsing it. But we are on there, and it's pretty fun. You can find Timmy. She's running our Upscrolled account. But yeah, guys, the stuff going on TikTok, please understand what they're doing. They won't let you talk about Epstein, but they're fine with you doxing ICE agents and causing all kinds of chaos inside of why would that be okay? Isn't that interesting? Just, remember those sorts of things while you're seeing this sort of strategic censorship on these apps. But we do have a clip from Chris's trip to the front. So let's take a little look.
You can see just its utter devastation that was wrought. I mean, this really was a campaign. I spoke with the soldiers there in the North group, the North troops, and I said that this reminded me very much of Sherman's march to the Atlantic. Like, it was utter devastation. They destroyed as much as they could as they were going. And I'm talking about the Ukrainian regime forces. They burned houses, targeted churches. And I talk more about that in detail. But I just want you to know that they were so calculated. They specifically targeted church domes because they're the weakest part of the church, so that they could catch fire and the domes would collapse on people inside. Just so you can imagine the brutality and the barbarism there. So we were able to see destroyed churches, destroyed hospitals, destroyed schools, destroyed residential and commercial facilities, not to mention infrastructure. We went nearby to a former jail, which had been in active use when the Ukrainians came, and they absolutely decimated the place. And there were a lot of massacres that took place. So I just want to say that this was a campaign of terror that was wrought by the Ukrainian regime forces, especially also the mercenaries, the Poles, the Georgians, and others, who many commented on the brutality and the horrific crimes that they committed against the people in the Kursk Oblast. So once again, real thanks to the North Group for making this trip possible and for really taking care of me. And I hope that we can go back again. They're really excited to take us even deeper and deeper to see the devastation. There's a lot of very ancient and historical sites that were absolutely destroyed. There was a monastery, the monk that was with me, there was a monastery from the 18th century that was absolutely decimated. We have footage of that. I think it's going to be for the first time for many viewers to see this kind of footage. So we have footage of that from within the monastery as Ukrainian regime forces were invading Russia and shelling it. So you'll be able to see that and the aftermath. But such amazing people to be with there, and really an honor to be with them, to see and to bear truth, and to bear witness to this truth ultimately that we want to bring to you all.
I agree. You also mentioned Venezuela. So before we move into the meat and potatoes, I do want to let you guys, this is the mailing. These are the mailing details. If you want to write a letter or some sort of support or cards to the Maduros, well, Celia's Flores, but Maduro and his wife, there are the details. I just stress that be careful what you say, because I'm sure they're going to be read by American authorities. But other than that, knowing Maduro and Celia, they definitely would love cards and letters and whatever sort of outpouring of support people are willing to offer. They're both fantastic people. Don't forget, new merchandise is on the website, ddgeopolitics.com.
Love it.
We'll be coming out with more dystopian merchandise as we move forward. No taxes, no Trump tariffs, and free shipping anywhere in the world. Usually our proceeds go to either our travel and obviously keeping this stuff, keep us from asking you guys for money like all of the other platforms and streamers. And also we do help families in Yemen pay for their livelihood, actually, pay for them to survive, as well as other people in other war-torn places. But I guess we'll get into the new dystopia.
Let's get into it. I mean, this is a bombshell. This drop site news expose, which is about the leaked documents coming out about the Board of Peace resolution. I think this is a real big story, and a lot of people are not talking about it. And I think it's got to be bigger in the news cycle. But what we have is leaked on January 26th. Drop site news obtained resolution number 2026-1 or /1, dated January 22nd, 2026, from 3 independent sources in contact with U.S.-Israeli authorities. Now, what are the key revelations from this document? Trump as absolute authority in Gaza. This resolution gives Trump sole power as chairman to, and this is what we know from the document, approve and replace ISF commanders, final approval on all quote-unquote eligibility standards for Palestinians, and override any decision of subordinate bodies. I don't know about you, but that to me sounds like an imperial, like an emperor. Like it sounds like some, imperial master, who's finally come to take his domain. We have executive board members that have been identified, 9 total. We knew from previous announcement, Marco Rubio, Steve Witkoff, Tony Blair, Jared Kushner, Mark Rowan, who's the Apollo CEO, Ajay Banga, World Bank, Robert Gabriel, Deputy NSA. New names that have been revealed: Susan Wiles, Trump Chief of Staff; Martin Edelman, Real Estate Attorney, UAE Special Advisor.
Why does Susie Wiles need a place on this board?
Isn't that crazy? Like, what does she have to do with this? How is she somehow ready for this board of? I just don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. But again, pack it with your cronies and your yes men, and this is what's going to end up happening. Palestinian exclusion. No, I repeat, no Palestinians on the Board of Peace, which is to me absolutely unacceptable. That you are governing Gaza, Palestinian territory, and the board in charge of governing Palestinian territory has no Palestinian. Sounds to me like colonialism.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds to me like the British are back. It's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Or in this case, the Zionists never left, So Palestinians are relegated to a national committee for the administration of Gaza. And this administration operates, quote unquote, strictly under supervision of High Representative Nikolai Mladenov, another name to think about. Martin Griffiths, former UN humanitarian chief. Palestinians, and I quote, have been reduced to implementers of the decision of others, nowhere to be found except at the very bottom of this pyramid of power. What an excellent visual there. Absolutely. It reminds us of that pyramid of power that the socialists in the early 20th century used to use in the United States to talk about the ruling class. Well, there you go. Now you got your ruling class in Gaza. Participation requirements. Only those who support and act consistently with creating, quote unquote, de-radicalized terror-free Gaza are eligible for governance participation, reconstruction work, economic development, humanitarian assistance, aid conditioned on political compliance. Compliance, people. This is where we're at. You have to be a yes man to be on this board and to do the work and to probably even live in Gaza and basically have food to survive and to have a roof over your head. You have to say yes to everything. There's no possibility to say no, I disagree. There's none of that. There's no disobey. It's only obey here. So this is really, really important, I think. Note that U.S. and Israel have repeatedly labeled UN agencies and NGOs as Hamas fronts without evidence. So this eligibility standard bars anyone deemed to have, quote unquote, supported or have a demonstrated history of collaboration, infiltration, or influence with or by Hamas. Basically says that they can participate. So we're talking about UN agencies and other NGOs that have been critical of the apartheid regime, that have been critical of the genocide, that have called it a genocide, that have called for war crimes tribunals, that have called for the arrest of Netanyahu and his cronies. They are not going to have any sort of power in this. Netanyahu on the board, Israeli Prime Minister, has a seat at the top table, despite an international criminal court arrest warrant that is still active and ready to be taken action on. So this is where we're at, people. This is really, I think, for me, this is a big bombshell. I don't know. What do you think about this?
I do. And then people were going through and they were finding even old plans. Like there was the video of Kushner from 2019. There's also the video where it's Kushner and Witkoff, and Kushner slips and Witkoff's like shit, or one of them slips. But here's stuff from 2019. This is leaked as well. This is a new presentation. Well, not new. It's from 2019, but I just found it. So this has been something they've been trying to do. This has always been in the plan. So when we say that the things that Trump did in his first administration to create the conditions that make the things possible today, i.e. ripping up the JCPOA, moving the embassy, Golan Heights, all of this stuff was in the works before this even started. Okay? This is their old vision for peace. Now it's gotten even worse. And they even back then proposed the gated community.
Is that the CMCC?
CMCC is the command center that will be there forever. And this is, so they've kind of said like, okay, we're going to put Gaza Humanitarian Foundation in there, and then we'll make a CMCC. And that way, the CMCC can help keep things calm. No, the CMCC never went away, but the GHF is closed down and gone. The CMCC stays, and they have all these control mechanisms in place, the biometric scanning and all of that will basically surveil. It will be the overwatching eye of all of Gaza, and I'm probably the West Bank as well, I would guess, eventually.
So this is basically become a concentration camp now. If it wasn't one before, everyone was like, it's an open air prison, it's a concentration camp. We all said, yes, of course, we've identified this for forever at this point. But now it's going to be that plus a foreign military presence, a foreign governance presence, and biometric surveillance, all these like chips and IDs and things like that. I mean, people out there who are critical of this stuff, who were critical during COVID-19, where are they now to be outraged about this? I mean, this is literally, if I'm going to be completely honest, I'm going to put the conspiracy cap on. This is a conspiracy moment. I'm going to say this is a testing ground. This is a testing ground for what they're going to do back home. This is a ground to test new technologies. Palantir, who knows what the hell they're going to throw over there. And everything's up for grabs and up for use. They're going to try, I'm sure, a whole slew of new weaponry. They already have since October 7th. So this is going to be a testing ground by which they're going to have reports. And they're going to say what works, what doesn't work, refine it, and eventually bring this surveillance home.
Yeah. And I also want to remind you guys of this. I won't go through it again. We've gone through it on the show, but don't forget about the Gaza Great Trust.
Yep.
That's still a thing. This is from the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, WAPO. So, this is more of the economic side, but it does include the mega projects. This is one of the first things that came out. This is prior to Project Sunrise. So that's available. I'll put the link in the chat. It's free, even if you're not a subscriber to Wall Street Journal. But the link is in the chat now. And now we have Project Sunrise, as well as Jared Kushner has now basically taken over the project of Gaza. You have your new Rafah, you have your other thing. And the other interesting thing that happened this week, while we're still on the topic of this sort of real estate surveillance takeover, is what's his stupid name? The leader of Albania, Edi
Rami.
Edi Rami, yeah. He was in Israel.
Yeah, he was in Israel. He was at the Knesset.
He kissed the wall. He did the wall. He did the wall dance. And then, he did his little straddling maneuver where he's like, I run a Muslim majority country. I'm married to a Muslim, but I'm in Israel and we are a Zionist country. They are a Zionist country, guys. They have an Israeli week every year in their capital where they do the entire capital, changes all the flags to Israeli flags from Albanian, and they focus on Israeli culture. But anyway, so this is happening, and there's a few interesting things that he says in there. Like he wants his son, he thinks his son might become Jewish. He has a son that they haven't baptized or had him take the Shahada or anything. They said he'll decide when he gets older, and there's a strong chance he'll become Jewish. I thought that was interesting. He talks about he went, I could send you the whole speech, but he went very in detail into World War II and how Albania protected their Jews. He neglected to say that there was only 200 Jews in the whole country.
Well, no, not only that, he neglected to say who protected them. The communists. Enver Hoxha.
Yeah.
Regardless
Enver
of
Hoxha, yeah.
Enver Hoxha. And Enver Hoxha was pro-Palestine. He was a very big anti-Zionist. Very big. And
yeah,
he
and then
identified
after that, instead of mentioning who and the what and the why and the what happened, he neglects Enver Hoxha. And he calls him, like, he alludes to him being like a maniac, and says, and then like goes back to like the Israeli Jew worship, where, you know, he was like, we're the only country that ended up with more Jews afterwards than we started with. He said they're the first country in Europe that's adopting some new definition of anti-Semitism. And he also refused to call it the West Bank. He only referred to them as Palestinians or Palestinian nationals, or Judea and Samaria. He did not call it the West Bank, which I also thought was important. And at the same time, this comes out. There's a project that Jared Kushner, so I guess Albania will be the new West Bank, I'm guessing. You know, Albania has an AI politician already. So they're ready to rock and roll.
Listen, as you rightfully pointed out, I think this is just another giant money laundering scheme. Like, this is another way to
and you'll love this part. He goes, I'm gonna get ready. Clips or Chris is gonna crash out. So this part, he goes, not only that, but we were the only country to welcome in thousands of Iranian refugees.
Yes, of course. Of course. By the way, those Iranian refugees are members of Mujahideen Khalq.
Thank you. There it is.
Organization cult led by Mariam Rajavi now. After her husband disappeared, we don't know what happened. They probably is dead in a ditch somewhere. But I just want you to know that these people are fucking nutso. They are terrorists. Listen, Iran was invaded by Saddam Hussein. He used U.S. supplied chemical weapons against my family members and millions of others in Iran. He used munitions that were bought and paid for by the United States. And in return, instead of defending Iran, the Mujahideen Khalq sided with Saddam Hussein, put their base in Baghdad, and tried to help him so that they could overthrow the new Islamic Republic, which they had originally supported. But because Rajavi didn't take the place of Ayatollah Khomeini, he had a beef. He said he should have been more powerful and had done a lot. So, you know, these kind of egomaniacs and cult of personalities, that's what ends up happening. They end up siding with Israel, with Iraq, with the United States, and end up getting basically airlifted out after the 2003 invasion, because Iran and the Shias were going to go after them. It was over for them. And in fact, some of the bases were absolutely annihilated. The rest of them got out and safely made their home where? Albania.
Exactly.
All the places.
What's the camp called? They have their own base. But I posted the video on the big account if you guys want to see it. It's like a mini documentary. But just look at this again. It's got drone. Why is there a drone? They're already being surveilled in their brand new AI. And the yacht is like the size of the Burj Khalifa. Like, it's like the largest yacht. Like, what is going on here? And the topography is completely wrong. And of course, the Albanians are just so exciid. I guess we're losing we're paying 3 times the amount for electricity, so Albanians can have AI slop.
And listen, Albania, people, this stream, we're gonna again open our hearts to you all. Kosovo is Serbia, and at this point, Albania and Albanian, we could say greater nationalism, is very much also a part of this project, which is to help to push against the Orthodox world, the Russian world, the Serbian world, whatever you want to call it. They want to continue to push back against traditional Orthodox countries in that in the Balkans. They want to continue to fragment the pro-Russian countries and parties. And of course, Kosovo is their little Israel in the Balkans. It is. It's a fake country. Kosovo and Metohija have been part of Serbia for a millennia. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts about this, but it was specifically carved out so that they could put one of the biggest bases in the world, the biggest in Europe, I believe. Bonsteel, right? Yeah, they have that there in Kosovo, and it was also it was a black site for CIA. It was a place where they tortured people. It was a place where they were able to launder weapons.
They trafficked children.
I mean, come on, people, come on.
It's really bad. But now the new biggest base, you guys will love this. This is just a side note. The new biggest base is going to be in Romania, where NATO and the Americans, including people that have ties to Erica Kirk, are under investigation for 80,000 children disappearing and sexual abuse running rampant in the orphanages. But sure, let's put a NATO base there. Why would they want to put a NATO base there?
And combine that with the fact that Moldova now wants to join Sandu, wants to join Romania.
Romania.
Yes. And this is part of destroying the legacy of Bessarabia, of Wallachia, of the traditional Orthodox lands, of Russia's influence there since imperial times. All of this is trying to, and also remember, keep your eyes on the prize. Prednistrovie is the key prize for them. They want to eventually eliminate this former Soviet autonomous region that now continues to remain independent and is very much in the orbit of Russia. They want to eventually destroy it. They want all the people gone because they want to no longer have a Russian presence in that area. And it's not only Russians. There are Ukrainians there. There are Moldovans. There are other Cossacks, of course. There are many people who live there. But this is the reality. The reality is that this is a project to reshape the region and to reshape it in the vision of the United States and the Israelis. Don't forget, there's a growing alliance between Greece, Cyprus, and Israel. There's a growing wider bloc that's developing in the Eastern Mediterranean. All of this has as its position blocking China, Iran, and Russia. Let's call it how it is. That is the ultimate goal. And that's what we're seeing unfold before our very eyes.
Call a spade a spade. Also unfolding in the region, this is interesting to me, is the Iraqi election.
Yep.
This is Trump's reaction to it. This is from yesterday. I'm hearing that the great country of Iraq might make a very bad choice of reinstalling Nouri al-Maliki as prime minister. Last time he was in power, the country descended into poverty and total chaos. That should not be allowed to happen again because of his insane policies and ideologies. If elected, the United States of America will no longer help Iraq. And if we are not there to help, Iraq has zero chance of success, prosperity, or freedom. This is interesting. Maliki is a Shia who is aligned with Iran. The Iraqis have pressured him to run. He is running unopposed. He was nominated by the Shia Coordination Framework. He's the sole candidate for premiership. Parliament session was set to take place yesterday to elect him, but the session was canceled due to a lack of quorum. He is 75 years old. For those of you who don't know, he's Secretary General of the Dawa Party. He served as Iraq's prime minister from 2006 to 2014. He's the only Iraqi prime minister to serve 2 terms. He fled Iraq and lived in Iran from 1982 to 1990 and in Syria until 2003. He's returning because the caretaker PM, Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, withdrew his bid for a second term and wants to support him in his bid. Sudani's coalition won the most seats but couldn't form a government. Maliki's state of law bloc became second with 29 seats. Deal reportedly includes Sudani getting senior cabinet roles. So this is a coalition that they've built. So he is hated by the United States. His reaction to this today was to announce, we reject outright the American interference in Iraq's internal affairs, considering it a breach of sovereignty and contrary to the democratic system in Iraq after 2003. We call for the U.S. to engage in dialogue rather than resorting to dictation and threats. I will continue working to achieve the higher interests of the Iraqi people. We emphasize respect for national will and the coordination framework's decision, which is guaranteed by the Iraqi constitution. Kataib Saeed al-Shuhada, commander, called Trump's statement blatant interference, adding that the criminal Trump, who physically assassinated the leaders of victory, now wants to repeat the act by politically assassinating Maliki. He was referring to Soleimani assassination. Yes.
We met him in Iraq. He's a phenomenal man, a man of dignity, a man of honor. And he was the one we have the pictures of on DD Geopolitics signing his martyrdom form. They are ready. They are ready. This is the moment. Listen, the other 2 phases, what you've seen up until now, has been the Middle Eastern way of being nice about it. But if what unfolds now could happen, I'm telling you, the region's going to catch on fire. I really believe it. This time around, there's no playing.
Yeah, there is no playing. I want you guys to remember the releasing of the ISIS prisoners. Our colleagues are at the border and have been at demonstrations. Iraqis are not playing around. They do not want a repeat of what we did to them 2003 and on. And them pushing for Maliki is even more proof of that. They do not want this nonsense anymore. He was the one who took a strong stance against the Americans. He was the one who warmed up with Iran, and the Iraqis are speaking. And people will say, oh, these Shia, well, they hold the majority. They hold 190 seats in the 300 and whatever number parliament. So they are the majority, and this is what they are dictating.
What democracy looks like, right?
Yes. So the leverage the United States has is that Iraq's oil export revenues are held at the Federal Reserve Bank in New York. That's a result of the forever war and all of that stuff. Sounds a lot like what they did to Venezuela, right? Which is something that's also happening today. You guys can look that up. This is another side note. Rubio was testifying in front of Congress, and they're asking him, where are the revenues for these Venezuelan sales?
Yeah,
it's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. And Maliki comes in and says, we're not going to do this anymore. And the U.S. has threatened sanctions if factions if Iran-allied factions are inside of the government, which just means anybody that's Shia. So 23 years after the U.S. invades Iraq to liberate it, Iraqis are using the democratic system installed by America to tell America to go fuck itself.
They've been asking for years, get out of our country. We don't want your bases. We don't want anything. We want to be just like, we just want to be left alone. And America will not leave them alone at all.
And Iraq, I love Iraq. It's like my favorite country in the Middle East. I love them so much. They literally just want to be left alone, to just vibe. They're like, we don't even bother anybody. Like nothing even goes on in Iraq. Like in terms of like discord or like crazy violence or upheaval or anything like that, is quite subdued.
It was very peaceful when we were there.
Except for the American drone following us.
Oh, yeah, the drone was...
The least peaceful part was the American participation in our trip. Being detained and being chased around by American drones.
Not good. Not good.
But to our other, Chris's favorite country in the Middle East, but the other favorite country in the Middle East, Iran.
Yeah.
There you go, Chris. Off to you. We'll talk about Iran.
Listen. We're headed in that direction. I mean, Iran now is at the critical point. And I got to say, so we've got, let's go through this time. First of all, we have this message from Trump, right? And let me just blow it up here so I can see it on my screen. So it says, what does it say? A massive armada is heading to Iran. I love how he uses these. He feels like, I think Trump sometimes imagines himself as like master and commander, or like some, I don't know, like fucking some like 18th or 19th century like commander on some fucking long, huge ship is going out there in some Napoleonic war, and he's like, follow me, because all this AI slop always puts him and portrays him like that. So he's kind of digested it. So he says it is moving quickly with great power, enthusiasm, and purpose. I don't know how an armada can have enthusiasm, but okay. Maybe it's like, okay, faster. It is a larger fleet headed by the great aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln than that sent to Venezuela. Like with Venezuela, it is ready, willing, and able to rapidly fulfill its mission with speed and violence if necessary. Hopefully, Iran will quickly come to the table and negotiate a fair and equitable deal. No nuclear weapons, one that is good for all parties. They already had a deal. You ripped it up. Time is running out. It is truly of the essence. As I told Iran once before, make a deal. They didn't, and there was Operation Midnight Hammer, a major destruction of Iran. The next attack will be far worse. Don't make that happen again. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So there you have it. I mean, first of all, I'm angry because there was a deal. Everybody knows it. There was a deal. We had the JCPOA. Things were moving in the right direction. And we ended up in this situation where we're at today. Now, let's go to a timeline of what's going on. I think a timeline is very helpful because people have got to figure out, how did we get here? I mean, there was like everything was pretty calm and quiet for a little bit before this. Listen, December 28th. So just a few days after Western Christmas, everybody's still enjoying all the sweets and desserts and the pies and whatever else. Protests begin over economic grievances, the currency collapse, food prices. Listen, there are legitimate grievances in Iran. I'm Iranian. I can tell you, I have family there. There's legitimate grievances, but that does not mean that everybody wants to overthrow the government. Those are two very different things. I can have a grievance about some minor issues or major issues. It doesn't mean I necessarily want to overthrow the government, kill the president, regime change, destroy all the artifacts and historical treasures of the country. No, it simply means that I want some changes by elected officials to take place. So we have December 28th. From then on, we have a series of daily protests and manifestations. On January 8th, which is about, 21 days ago now.
20, yeah.
Reza Pahlavi. 20 for you all, 21 for me. Reza Pahlavi, son of the late Shah, calls for demonstrations. So he inflames, he adds fire and fuel to the situation, or maybe it was all planned. That remains to be seen, but I think we have theories about this. Millions take to the streets across all 31 provinces. Now, for me, I don't necessarily think that the millions were because of Reza Pahlavi. The millions were very much still a part of the grievances which were legitimate and recognized by the government. Ayatollah Khamenei said, let them, we're listening to them. Let them protest. It's peaceful. It's okay and allowed. On the 8th to the 9th, mass killings begin. Security forces were using ammunition in response, I would say, in response to protesters who were not protesters, who were members of clandestine organizations that were using those rifles, shotguns, machine guns.
Dude, I saw it. We saw the footage of them holding on to Israeli weapons, Turkish weapons. They weren't given to them by the Turks, but they found bullets of Israeli origin in people's heads.
Absolutely. Absolutely, they did. Absolutely.
So and the best is like, I'm like trolling the AP. I'm like, could you guys pick a number? It's like, I feel like I'm dealing with, I don't even know. We've gone from 600 all the way up to 60,000. Some Iranian told me the other day that it's almost on par with Gaza.
It's on par. That's insane.
Isn't it? This is what we're dealing with.
Insane. So
this is what we're dealing with.
So we have these, of course, now we have estimates anywhere from the numbers are about mid 2000s to mid 3000s or high 3000s of those killed. Most of them security officials and civilians. Yeah,
it was like 1,700 security officials. It was insane.
Oh, yeah. And now we have people saying 50,000, 60,000. We had Ahmadinejad say 1 million. What?
There's so much. This takes so much work.
That would be faster and more efficient than the Hutus Tutsis conflict in Rwanda.
It's the efficiency of the Holocaust.
Way more. And I'm just thinking to myself, that's absolute. It cannot be. Listen, nobody's killing millions of people out there now, and the only people killing close to 1 million people are the goddamn Zionists who got a blank check for 2.5 years, 3 years, and are still doing what they want to do.
They're killing people in so many places. It's insane. Million alone, almost 1 million alone, probably in Gaza. And then
in Gaza, definitely 500,000 and above. Definitely.
Oh, easily.
Definitely. And then you have West Bank, Lebanon, Yemen, Syria. Who knows where else they're operating? Of course, they attacked Iran. They had the 12-day war of aggression, not to mention assassinations, all sorts of subterfuge and things like that. Iraq, I'm sure they have operations ongoing. Their tentacles are everywhere. And they are doing...
Not to say that. It's anti-Semitic. You can't say tentacles. You can't refer to him as octopus.
Oh, sorry.
Greta got in a lot of trouble for that. You can't do that.
Really?
Yeah. Anti-Semitic octopus. You never heard about that?
Well, I mean, they used to put like Joseph Stalin as a big octopus in Europe. I love the octopus, to be honest.
Well, that story. I saw it. Greta had an autistic octopus. They have emotion octopuses where like one side's sad and one side's happy, and you like change it according to your mood. Well, she had it in the screen when she was doing some video about Palestine, and they called it the anti-Semitic octopus. So you can't say tentacles.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
But so we do have aircraft over. That this is a day. Iranian drones are monitoring the area.
Iranian drones are monitoring the area. We're seeing a huge, I think one of the biggest gatherings of airplanes, U.S. military assets in the region since I think the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, where we had the tremendous assets in the region. I mean, there are,
it's much more.
It's much more even. We're saying, yeah. So, and we have new assets that we haven't really used and utilized often enough. They're headed there as well. So this is very, very tense situation. Something could go out, could pop off at any moment. Of course, the thought is that if anything pops off, it's going to be when the weekend, where the market's closed and doesn't have a real big impact. But so Iran, of course, has come out and said last time the U.S. blundered into wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, it squandered over $7 trillion, not billion, $trillion, and lost more than 7,000 American lives. Iran stands ready for dialogue based on mutual respect and interest, but if pushed, it will defend itself and respond like never before. So there you have it. I mean, that's the Iranian mission at the United Nations. This is Abbas Araghchi, who is the foreign minister. Our brave armed forces are prepared with their fingers on the trigger to immediately and powerfully respond to any aggression against our beloved land, air, and sea. The valuable lessons learned from the 12-day war have enabled us to respond even more strongly, rapidly, and profoundly. At the same time, Iran has always welcomed a mutually beneficial, fair, and equitable nuclear deal on equal footing and free from coercion, threats, and intimidation, which ensures Iran's rights to peaceful nuclear technology and guarantees no nuclear weapons. Such weapons have no place in our security calculations, and we have never sought to acquire them. Now, I have a hypothesis, and I don't know if it's true, but I'm going to throw it out here, and I'm going to make a very cautious prediction. I'm putting on the cap again. Listen, you got it there. Is it there?
Yes.
Accessible. Awesome. There it is. Let's go. We're ready. I have spoken to some friends, and we amongst ourselves are convinced it might be possible that Iran has a few hidden.
I've heard that too.
But listen to this. This is what their theory was. Iran has a few, and if the United States attacks really aggressively this time, there might be an artificial earthquake somewhere in the desert.
Yeah.
And then everyone's going to stop and say, what was that? And then geologists are going to say, we didn't see anything on the radar down below, except for this man-made anomaly. And it's going to be a DPRK breakout story and sort of moment. And my theory is that if it were to happen like that, which it's not guaranteed and it's just a hypothesis, if it were to happen, I think that either the United States and Israel will go full to the wall and try to take out Iran as fast as possible, or it will lead to an immediate ceasefire and basically the creation of some level of deterrence. I don't know. My hypothesis is that Israel would be so aggressive and belligerent because Iran has broken through the sort of nuclear glass ceiling that they might go nuclear themselves first. It might be so insane and livid because they've literally been creating this boogeyman for decades.
Oh, yeah.
Netanyahu has been nonstop talking about it, that now would be the moment we need to use our nuclear weapons as a first strike. In that kind of scenario, I just want people to know, I mean, the world will never be the same again. You know, we're going to be living in pre and post this period of time. So I just think that this is a very big moment. This is a real axial. It could be a very pivotal moment for human history, a real axial moment, as we say as historians, if it proceeds as Trump wants it to proceed, which is towards confrontation.
Oh yeah.
If we don't pull back from the brink, I mean, we are headed for a real showdown.
The producer added this photo. These alleged Mi-28s in
Yep.
Iran. What are your
Yep.
thoughts on that before we wrap?
I mean, that's a very big story that's also been playing in the Russian media, that Russia has been supplying Iran with these helicopters. They look new. They look ready to go. You know, they're refurbished, everything. They're all done up. So I think that this shows that Russia continues to supply Iran with advanced aerospace, aviation, and military technologies that enable it to defend itself. We also have the use of the Belarusian air defense system, which is basically tracking objects. I don't know. We reposted that on DD Geopolitics, but it's this very interesting. I think it's like a two-tiered detection system that's able to really catch stuff at a big distance. So they are deploying these. So this shows that Iran is very serious about its capabilities now, especially as Iraqi say after the 12-day war that taught them a lot about their weaknesses and where they needed to strengthen. We also have reports that China's missile systems, air defense missile systems, and some other missile systems have arrived in Iran and are being deployed. So overall, we're seeing multiple assets from different neighboring allied countries coming into Iran. So, and I think people need to understand, Iran has a very advanced weapons array that targets ships. It has advanced torpedoes. It has advanced missiles that also dive underwater. So people have to realize that if the Abraham Lincoln and other naval assets impose a blockade, and this is where I'm gonna posit my last real theory. Trump does a blockade, hypothetically. Say on Friday night, Trump says, I'm imposing a naval blockade of Iran. Iran then does what the Soviet Union did during the Cuban Missile Crisis, when the Kremlin convinced Khrushchev to basically run the blockade, to try to push their ships in between American ships, which were basically straddled by Russian nuclear-capable submarines, and to basically run the blockade. Now, at that moment, the United States and the Soviet Union came very, very close to confrontation. But eventually the Soviets backed down, and there was the agreement, Jupiter missiles in Cuba, and everybody backed down. And so the running of the blockade did not become a moment for escalation and outright firing. There were firing, the US ships fired over Soviet ships that were actually carrying missiles, nuclear-capable missiles. We don't actually know if the ships had nuclear weapons, but they were firing over them. Could you imagine if they had sunk them or whatnot? Now, if Iran tries to run the blockade, the question is, would a scenario like that repeat itself? And I don't think so, because Iran is a non-nuclear power, the US is a nuclear power, and the US is not going to budge on Iran running the blockade. So my theory is that Iran runs the blockade with ships that are destined for martyrdom. They sink, and then Iran now has a justification for a war of defense, basically saying the naval blockade is an act of war. We didn't fire the first shot. We tried to run the blockade to basically stop the imposition of this act of war and this act of aggression on us. They sunk our ships or our submarines. Now it's game on. That's where I think that we could see escalation in the sea as well. We could see, and it's not only going to be targeting US military assets. The Saudis and the UAE and Qataris, everybody knows they are up on the table and they're on the docket. Missiles are going to strike military targets there. Missiles can strike oil infrastructure there. They're going to try to close the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranian parliament has agreed on the proposal to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. So I just want people to know, that if this ends up going this way, we are going to see a rapid escalation and the whole region is going to catch on fire until Iran has no more ballistic missiles yet. And then we're going to have round 2 of Iraq, which is IEDs. If boots go on the ground, get ready, because it's going to be real tough. And Iran is much more mountainous. Iran is much tougher terrain. And the people know that
3 times the size.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck to the American troops. They're going to be deployed there. I feel really bad for them. It's not going to be.
Food's good.
Food's great. Food's great, no doubt. So I just want people to be aware that we are headed into a very complex moment in history, and to definitely keep their eyes out for what's to come. And of course, stay tuned on DD Geopolitics. We try to bring everything to you up to the minute as quick as we can, as you know.
Oh, yeah. Guys, don't forget, write nice things to Maduro and Celia. Probably cards would be nice. Merchandise on the website. And obviously, Chris's trip to Suja will be on the YouTube, on the upscrolled, on the Instagram, on all the things I'm not on. I hate all these friggin' apps. Other than that, we'll see you guys on Sunday. Don't forget, we're doing the spaces. He said he may join us tonight. It's kind of late where he's at during the space, but he definitely will be joining us for at least one of the spaces to discuss the book with us. We will see you guys on Sunday. I don't think that there's anything else happening.
I don't think so. We have no super chats either.
No super chats. It's okay, guys. In this economy, we don't expect anything. It's okay. Yeah, we don't ask for and we don't expect anything. We're all suffering together. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We love you guys. See you on the space tonight. And other than that, have a good rest of your week.
Take care, everyone.